fun first set, moving into the second on Neo-Electric Circuit. But JangBi showing that he's ready to bring the craziness today, as I expected. yeah, the other two items I wrote down on the what to expect list were Hydra Breaks, because they've been so effective in ZVP recently, in Pro League, and in the tournament. And the third item was Kick-Assness, which I guess that's not really an official thing, but anyway. Aw, they don't have the accept. You have to find the... I have to do the mineral. Mineral. Okay. So JangBi was down there in red again. At the 8 o'clock position, that means up at the 2 o'clock in purple is ZerO. Losing on his home turf, man, ZerO, that's gotta be embarrassing, buddy. Gotta be. And he's called Ground Zero, man. Alright. Anyway. Yeah, there were a few more things that I didn't get to in the last set. This happens so many times to me when I write down things to get to and then all hell breaks loose. I love it though. So unpredictable and chaotic. Love this game, bros. Bro hug with everyone, even the girls. Girls get in with the bro hug. Okay. Yeah, the one more thing that I forgot to mention about ZerO, that his versus Protoss is his best matchup. So it's his best matchup, and this versus Zerg is JangBi's worst matchup. But JangBi's willingness to bring the crazy it definitely works in his favor in a series like this. He is a veteran player, and that's how a veteran plays a series. And that's why Samsung Con players especially, the Samsung Con veterans, are good at this kind of a thing, this best of 5 series format. Because you can get into your opponent's head. Very important. But ZerO, he's never made it this far in an OSL before, but he does have a silver in the MSL. He got kind of trounced by Flash, of course. It was 3-0. That was back when Flash had his wrist problem, so he wanted to end the games as quickly as possible. And ZerO just couldn't deal with how aggressive Flash was being. With his Valkyrie bionic build, it was craziness. But I think that ZerO has kind of an undeserved record of choking. Like, I see the word choke associated with ZerO more than I really like. Because ZerO is a very persistent player. He's made it up to round of 8s, got knocked out. I've talked about this before, but he's made it up to round of 8s, got knocked out, moved up to the semifinals, got knocked out, and made it to the finals, finally, in the MSL. And he's shown the same kind of persistence in the OSL, because he's made it to the semifinals for the first time now, against JangBi. But I would not consider ZerO a choking type of player. I hate that word anyway in relation to StarCraft Brood Wars. Like, Stork, oh, he chokes, always chokes. It's like, no, he just gets outplayed. There's a difference. Yeah, Stork was not prepared for his final against Fantasy, but I wouldn't say that he choked necessarily. Maybe I would. Okay, I'll re-examine that in the next game. We need to get into this game first. The third base plopping down for ZerO. He does have 3 hatcheries going, which is very easy to take on Neo-Electric Circuit. But relating to the ZerO thing that I was just talking about, I have seen another thing that's bothered me recently on forum threads about this particular semifinal. People are like, oh man, this is awful. We all know ZerO's gonna win because it's his best matchup, and we're gonna have a crappy final because it's ZerO. Yeah, that's what they said. But every time I see that, I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? ZerO is absolutely one of the best Zerg players that I have seen play. He has some of the most impressive mid to late game of any player, especially mid game. His massive unit control is just impressive to watch. Sometimes it's better than any other player, honestly. So I don't get this hate for ZerO. Maybe they're watching some other kind of ZerO. Maybe they're watching like a fake ZerO or some other guy named ZerO. Is that one of Free's new nicknames? I know he went from Pretty to Free and like to Pretty again. And maybe he's going by ZerO now because they're on Wounds and Stars and all. But alright. Stargate coming up for JangBi. Much more standard opening than in the last game, which is good. I mean, I don't want to see non-stop rushes from the players. As entertaining as they are, I like to see some good standard series play every now and then. And this has been the OSL of rushing. Rushes everywhere, hydro breaks, you name it. Players just want to get it over with because they're practicing StarCraft 2. They don't feel that their Brood War mechanics are up to par. But the ironic part is, everyone's practicing StarCraft 2. So really, you could just go to mid-game and you'd all be on the same level. No, anyway, enough of that. Let's see, JangBi is trying to get in there to do some more scouting. He's working on his +1 at the Forge. Working on that +1, getting the second cannon, thankfully. I hate it when Protoss players don't put down the second cannon. Makes me facepalm. And it's good to prepare for the hydro breaks, especially these days. Oh my god, additional hatcheries from ZerO, but he does have the Spire on the way. Standard opening. But that was the first item on my what to expect list. Hydro breaks! There's been so many hydro breaks in CVP recently that it's kind of made the matchup not as fun to watch. ZVP has always been up there as either my favorite or second favorite matchup. But lately it's just been Hydra Bust, Hydra Bust, Hydra Bust, punishing greedy Protoss players who don't put down second cannons, yada yada yada. You know how it goes. But a cannon being plopped inside of the main for JangBi, and he put down the Templar Archives inside the main as well. But here come mutas for ZerO. He's got mutas coming in. So one single cannon might not quite be enough inside that main to protect us, especially with the Corsairs away like this. Oh my god, Corsairs moving in, probably going to be intercepted by Scourge because there's Scourge out in the air, probably close to the mutas, if not running back to the base at the moment. But yes, JangBi does get the full scout. He doesn't see any Hydras anywhere, so he knows what's happening now. But oh, intercepted by ZerO. So ZerO doing some harassment with the mutas. There was not a cannon built behind that natural expansion nexus. So these probes are just going to have to camp out for a while next to the cannons. And now ZerO is getting up a ground army, getting up the Hydras after opening with mutas, which is a nice, smart switch. Because now JangBi is going to have to throw down a lot more cannons at his natural expansion if he wants to hold against this next attack. But now the muta is going to try to grind down these Zealots to the best of their ability. JangBi splitting up his Zealots to keep at least some of them out of harm's way. Let's see, mutas chasing down the 3 Zealots that were down. Some more Zealots ran up to the 12 o'clock. They're like, screw this, I'm out. But they will be needed to fight back this big attack, so he's got to get them home eventually. Alright, I think that ZerO was keeping tabs on those Zealots up at the top, but a lot more cannons on the way for JangBi. He's going to have about 6. Hopefully they warp in time. It's cutting it awfully close, but the High Templar in the back, not sure if they have Storm yet. And some Zealots away from home, and ZerO sees this as the opportune moment to strike. Coming forward, High Templar going out in no man's land, though. Oh, spawning out in the field where he got sniped. High Templar sniped all over the place, so one High Templar falls back. A bunch of cannons out, though, which should fend back ZerO, but ZerO has the Zerglings in to surround the cannons, so only one cannon left for JangBi. Oh my god, JangBi's pulled some probes off the line to fight, but the probes are not going to last that much longer. He needs more cannons. Oh, he does have a Dark Templar, so if he can get rid of that Overlord, I'm not sure if the Corsairs are in the vicinity to get rid of that Overlord, but if he can get rid of that, he'll be able to hold his front. Oh, 3 Overlords, though. Didn't see the other 2, so that's going to be much more difficult. But here's ZerO still trying to bust down that front door. Now, let's see if JangBi has the +1 yet. They're just focusing on the High Templar now, so I can't tell. But the Forge was still spinning. It could have been the +2, though. It might have already had the +1 attack on for the Zealots, which would make it much easier to hold this next attack. But some more cannons warping in, and ZerO's preparing for the next big attack. There's one Storm from JangBi. Got a couple of kills on that High Templar. Okay, still utilizing the 3 base Zerg, but here comes a lot, oh my god, a lot of Hydras bearing down on JangBi's front door. He's moving out with all of his Zealots and a few probes, pulling some probes off the line just to make sure that he can hold this, but oh my god, he needs Storm. He desperately needs Storm to fight back ZerO. Yeah, he's held back ZerO for now. ZerO is just gonna hang outside the natural till he gets a few more Hydras in that clump. Just rally pointing all of his reinforcements down, keeping some at home to keep away the Corsairs. But he's eventually going to try to break down this natural expansion. There are only about 3 or 4 cannons left at that natural. But here comes a third base from JangBi. While all this is going down, he's trying to get his economy going, which will be difficult. Getting another cannon going. The robotics facility at the natural expansion. Gutsy move. Alright. Now, I suppose if he doesn't hold the natural, that'll be it for him anyway, so might as well build it there at the natural expansion. But ZerO just preparing outside that natural. Yeah, there is kind of a bottleneck choke moving into that natural, so it's kind of hard to attack with all your Hydras at once. That's why ZerO is kind of waiting until he knows he has enough to break through the natural. Yeah, being fended off now by a few Zealots, and yeah, it's just too awkward to attack now with the High Templar on the back. Those High Templar do have Storm on them, and some additional gateways being built by JangBi to move out with a large ground army soon and finally secure that natural. But the good thing for JangBi here is that he'll be able to protect his third. It's usually so hard for a Protoss player to move out and take their third in this kind of a situation, but on Neo-Electric Circuit, your third is right there. You just took it, it'll be out of harm's way, at least for a while. If ZerO ends up breaking that map artifact, he'll be able to run up the ramp. Oh, he has the lurkers being morphed right next to the map artifact as well. Oh, Dark Archon! JangBi bringing back the Dark Archons, which are usually used for maelstrom of groupings of mutas, although they're pretty good at doing feedback of defilers as well, but we're not at that stage in this ZVP yet. So the Dark Archon going to try to get some freaking mutas and Storm on top of them. The epic male Storm, as I like to call it. But now that lurkers are out, the lurkers can be used to break through the map artifact and more quickly get to that third. So yeah, JangBi is going to have to be prepared for that. Might have to cannon up next to that base soon. He's got a good defense of his natural, but let's see. Yeah, the lurker is going to attack the map artifact and try to move up this ramp. JangBi has a pylon here to scout what's going on back there, knowing where to run with his army. But the trick here will be, yeah, just deciding which troops to allocate to which choke. He's got most of his army back near this 3 o'clock base. It's probably the best course of action. Doesn't have any cannons there, so he needs full defense. 3 evolution chambers from ZerO. Crazy. Working on those ground upgrades. Every single ground upgrade, in fact. Got the spines in the melee and the carapace going. And I saw the Queen's Nest on the way, so he's going to be working on Hive, Tech. Oh, going up the ramp. But ZerO going to be caught in a choke area. Oh my god. So the High Templar should be enough, yeah, to scare ZerO away. But ZerO is very close to sneaking in there and just positioning there with the lurkers, taking out a bunch of probes. As that third base would have been absolutely devastating for JangBi. Okay, Hive Tech. Hive on the way for ZerO, as JangBi holds inside of his 3 bases for now. A Protoss player can last on 3 bases for a very long time. So JangBi should be okay as long as he holds that choke area up to the third. There comes ZerO with even more troops, flooding down with lurkers as well, which are great for keeping on a contain. Yeah, he's like, well, JangBi, you have a third, but by God, I'm going to make sure you never get a fourth. So he's just going to hang outside of the natural expansion and keep JangBi from moving out. And with the amount of lurkers that ZerO has amassed here, I'd say he's probably going to be able to do that, but some Zealots sneaking out, taking a lot of Lurker Splash, though, so they might not last too long. I think the JangBi was just trying to sneak those out to harass. But the Zealots take an awful lot of Lurker Splash, so probably going to be taken down soon. Let's see if they can get anything done as they move up towards the 12 o'clock base. They're going straight up to the 12 o'clock, looking for a 4th, I believe. But the 4th base established at the 3 o'clock for ZerO. So he's got that going, got all 3 ground upgrades going. Here's the Zealots holding their own for now against the small amount of Hydras that were up at that 12 o'clock. Alright. Yeah, those poor Zealots, they're not going to last too much longer. Yeah, they're just sniping what they can. Getting a Hydra here, a Zergling there. But here comes JangBi, he's going to try to push out. Oh, crazy. So JangBi's got to utilize Storm to maximum effectiveness. He's got some observers going out front, so it'll make it much easier to find out where the Lurkers are, Storm on top of them, and move in for just a killing blow. Usually only takes 1 Zealot shot or 1 Dragoon shot to kill a Lurker after it's been stormed upon. But here comes ZerO with even more Lurkers up close, splashing the Dragoons. The Dragoons just popping like water balloons. So more Zerglings running in to surround the Dragoons. Zerglings are so good at focusing down Dragoons, but some Storm from JangBi keeps the Zerglings and the Lurkers at bay. So JangBi hasn't even revealed his Zealots yet, really. He's trying to keep them away from the Lurkers as long as he possibly can, but now he's breaking out, trying to kill the Lurkers. But the reinforcement troops flooding in for ZerO. I'm not sure if JangBi's going to be able to do this. He's trying his best. He does have the Archon for Splash, but he lost the Archon. Relying on his Zealots to clean everything up. Oh my god, so the Lurkers coming in, still more reinforcement Lurkers, very tight attack, but JangBi forced back, and ZerO holds the contain. And yeah, that is the critical part. JangBi has to take a 4th base soon against the massive amount of macro that ZerO has going on. And he's not going to be able to do that unless he breaks out of the natural expansion. Of course, he could try to go through the choke. That's, proxy hatchery, forward hatchery from ZerO. He's going to try to build some Sunka colonies, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to hold this with all the troops moving up for JangBi's. It's storming over everything, storming forward, morphing an Archon, but right next to that. But here comes ZerO, even more Zerglings flooding in for him. He cancels the hatchery. That was a gutsy move to begin with. But with all the Zealots flooding out, God, this is so close. But the Lurkers making short work of the Zealots. Zealots gotta be careful around those Lurkers. Because just a whole control group of Zealots could go down with 1 Lurker spine. The Dark Swarm from ZerO, moving forward with the Dark Swarm, that'll help out a lot against the Dragoons, and just holding the contain with Dark Swarm. Insane. I can't believe that ZerO was able to hold during that whole thing. But as I mentioned earlier, ZerO's mid-game massive unit control is superb. Absolutely wonderful. And that's why he's built all of these these hatcheries, just so he can have the massive amount of units. That is his strength. That's definitely ZerO's strength, a large amount of units to work with. But Dark Swarm on top of this 3rd base, going straight for the Nexus, going to focus on that GG from JangBi. Knowing he was locked in, no way to get a 4th base, he decides to tap out. So we're all tied up, moving into the 3rd set. I can't wait. Let's move on.